If you'd like to see how I do my shaping and nail art for these polygel nails step by step, please keep watching. So this is actually a part 2 of this tutorial. Part 1 is posted on my channel already. I will try to link it in the video itself, but it will be linked in the description as well. So be sure to check that out if you'd like to see how I did my nail prep and application for this look. And we are gonna jump right into shaping now that we've cleansed and dehydrated. So I always start off with my fine grit 5-in-1 drill bit. This is the Kiara Sky one, but it's the same exact thing as the Pana drill bit. I personally like to clean up the cuticle area first, just to kind of see and map out where I'm gonna need to shape on the rest of the nails. So right now I'm just taking that drill bit and running it along the cuticle area as well as around the apex, just trying to kind of smooth and even out that area. This is definitely key for creating kind of a uniform and nice structure for your nail. So you don't want to dig in too much. You don't want to apply too much pressure. You want to let the drill bit do the work for you. That's why a fine grit is so great. And it's also really good for refining the apex area. If you think that you have too much product or if there are any areas that are uneven, you can go ahead and run it along that area as well, like I'm doing here. So take your time here. It's really gonna help you see where you need to shape more or less on the rest of the nails. And I like to use it to clean under the pinky because it fits perfectly under there. It's small enough for that. Next, we are going to take the round Pana bit. This is a coarse bit, so it can be pretty sharp, so please be careful if you just got it. And I like to use this across the entire nail, so I'm using it along the free edge area, using it to kind of taper in the sides a little bit and just make sure there's not too much product there. And then also running it along the apex area as well. And this is also so great for cleaning under the nail. Cleaning under the nail and removing an excess product is also really important to, again, make sure your nail has a nice uniform look. And I also use it to kind of carve out that C curve and thin that area out as well. So I just use my drill bit at a very low speed and just work it along that, both from the top and the bottom. And we are basically just gonna repeat this on the rest of the nail. So just keep watching as I do that one by one. So when thinning out that free edge area, I would recommend using a low speed, like 3 to 4 RPM, whatever is comfortable for you, just so you don't file away too much product and you can work on it little by little. Next, we are gonna use an 80/80 grit hand file. If you are struggling with getting your shape more sharp and defined, you probably wanna try this out because these are super coarse files. That's why we're seasoning it so that we don't cut ourselves. So first I start just by using it under the sidewalls. We're not applying too much pressure because we don't want to dig in too much, but we're just removing any excess product. And now filing against the sidewall itself, we're just trying to keep our file very straight. You can either use it, vertically or horizontally, but you want to try to keep your file as straight as possible. And then I like to go over the entire surface of the nail with this file. There's just something about it that gets it way more even and crisp than a nail drill. So I would recommend running this across the surface of your nail. You can't go wrong with it. It will definitely help even out some of those areas that maybe your nail drill didn't get. And again, we are trying to keep the file as straight as possible as we continue to file against the sidewall and the free edge as well. So I like to run it across both ways. When I do it this way, I pull back because I don't want to dig into the corners. So you can definitely take off too much of the corner if you don't pull away, because we tend to kind of file in. So I would recommend pulling away when you do that. So moving on to the next nail, again, we are filing under the nail first to remove any excess product. And then trying to show here a little bit more clearly that we want to avoid filing into the corner of the nail where I'm tapping there. If you think about what a square looks like, it's 4 very defined corners. So anytime you kind of file too much into the free edge corners itself, it'll kind of ruin the square shape. And again, showing here, if you tilt your file too much one way or the other, again, it might taper it in too much and you could end up with a coffin nail instead of a square nail. And once we go over the surface of the nail in this next clip here, you'll kind of see how I point out that once you file with the hand file over the entire nail, you should kind of have like a chalky white dust. So it'll kind of map out for you where you filed. And once I kind of see that chalky white, whatever you want to call it, over the entire surface of the nail, I know that I have pretty much hit all corners and every part of the nail. So I basically just try to keep going until I see that pattern showing up evenly, because it pretty much indicates to me that that part of the nail is very much so even and I can move on to the rest. And doing your own nails, especially filing them, is always very difficult. I always have to use the weirdest angles, so I try to film it the best I can, but sometimes I have to use a very strange angle just to like be able to file my own nail. But anyways, again, doing the free edge here and just kind of taking a look at where I'm at before I go in and do this very last step. Again, I'm pulling away because if I file too much into that corner, that square shape will be ruined. So yeah, it looks funny, but it helps make sure that you're filing just enough and not doing too much. So I'm just showing here again, with a square nail shape, you need both of your side walls to be coming down in a straight line, and you need a free edge with 2 very sharp corners to help create a really nice square shape. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're filing. And the last step, I don't always do this, but whenever I do, it always works really well, is I apply some cuticle oil and I go over the cuticle area again. Apparently this is a hack that a lot of people swear by, and I've tried it and it works really well. It just depends how pressed I am for time, whether I do it or not, but anytime I've done it, I've had no issue with my nails and I get a really nice seamless finish. So you can kind of see the dust looks a little funny because of all the oil, but basically you apply the oil around the cuticle area and the apex, and you just run your file against the cuticle area and the apex, and just pretty much finishing up our shaping here and sealing that cuticle before we go in with Young Nail Swipe and dehydrate and cleanse so we can get ready for nail art. I realize I am doing a lot of talking in this video. In the past few videos, I've been trying to add in more music and just let you watch what I'm doing. But at the same time, the reason I love making these YouTube videos in comparison to other platforms I usually post on is I can give you instructions in excruciating detail. And I know when I was starting out, that helped me a lot. It's just having someone verbally walk through what they're doing in detail as well as showing it visually. So let me know if you prefer less talking, but hopefully all of these tips help. So we are doing some liquid chrome first for this look. So I'm applying a top coat. This is from Koopa and I'm fully curing it. But before I do that, I like to take a lint-free wipe and just wipe under the nail and free edge to remove any excess product. We just worked so hard on our shaping, so I want to make sure I retain as much of that as possible. And these are the sponges I like to use. They're kind of mini triangle sponges, and then they come in like 3 packs. So I got these off Amazon, so I'll leave a link to the ones that I use. So once I have fully cured that top coat, I am taking this liquid chrome. I am blanking on the brand name, but I will leave it in the description. But basically, liquid chrome is like a lip gloss type consistency. I've used it a couple times and I really like it. So I basically apply it to the sponge and then I just work it into the nail, and you can see that it's very pigmented. I feel like the look is a little different than powdered chrome, but I feel like this is really user-friendly. And then I just try to make sure I use the corners to get the cuticle area as even as possible. But I really like how this one has a like pink iridescent look. So basically apply top coat to all of the nails, cure them, and then work in your liquid chrome with your sponge. You can reapply more of the liquid chrome as necessary. And then we are gonna go ahead and fully cure that as well. And once it is fully cured, we will go ahead and apply top coat again, just so we have sealed everything in. So apply your top coat, cure one more time for all 5 nails, and then we will get into the chrome metal nail art. So we are using the Sissy Molten Metal Gel Paint. This is such a great product. I love the consistency, the way it looks, because it's a gel paint and it's thicker. It's so good for doing detailed nail art. So we are gonna be doing some cyberpunk nails. So I'm just working the product into my brush, and basically we are gonna start drawing these kind of curved lines and connecting them. So I'm just doing kind of random shapes. So kind of doing like a U shape. And then basically whatever type of shape you do, you wanna just go ahead and round out the corners and wherever the lines connect. So you can see I'm doing that here on all 3 sides. I'm basically just adding in a little bit more depth and rounding them out, and then kind of going back and reconnecting all the lines to make sure it looks pretty seamless. So we are going over the lines one more time here, just to make sure that they're all kind of proportionate and connect very nicely. We are going to be drawing some more abstract wavy lines here, and I feel like the key with line work when it comes to nail art is A, using a gel paint, B, using a thin brush, so this is a 9mm brush, and then getting really comfortable with the type of pressures that you apply with your nail art brush. So the lighter pressure you apply, the thinner the line will be. The more pressure you apply, the thicker the line will be, and then getting used to kind of alternating between those types of pressures as you draw. For example, you may start off drawing the line very thin and then need to make it thicker, so you want to be able to comfortably apply different types of pressure as you're drawing. And then the great thing about using a really small brush is that you can kind of just take your time here rounding out the corners, adding in different details. So again, when it comes to these kind of like 3D chrome cyberpunk designs, it's just about drawing abstract lines and then rounding out the parts where they connect at. So here I decided to do kind of 2 long lines, and you'll see here, even I make mistakes. So I'm just using a brush to clean it up with some acetone and then moving that line a little bit farther to the left where I wanted it to be. And then we're just connecting the corners and rounding them out. And I am not curing until I finish the full design. I think it's really helpful for a design like this, and in general, when you're trying to kind of reconnect and define the lines a little bit more and add in more depth and detail, and you're using one color, you might just want to leave it uncured so that you can kind of use the existing product that's on your nail versus adding more, and it kind of helps the lines connect more seamlessly. And then here we just did a U shape at the very top and then something similar on the bottom, and I am again just adding more dimension to the lines, and you can see like how nice of a consistency this gel paint is. I haven't used it since last Halloween, but it is such a great product, and so sometimes this is easier than using like a chrome powder when you want to do like detailed nail art with the metallic look. So I would recommend that if you're looking to do some nail art like that. So this was a pretty simple design. Now we're just top coating it. This was my first time kind of doing like a cyberpunk design. And again, it's just about your line work and then rounding out those corners. So thank you for watching. And we have one more video to go of summer nails, and then we will be transitioning into spooky and Halloween nails. So I will see you in my next video.